The next activity is called Yes to Everything. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Yes to Everything is a 1 minute speaking opportunity in which I ask you a question and you have to respond yes, no matter what the question. Okay, and this is in debating what we call a critical thinking activity because it gives me a chance to ask kind of a silly question or a question that you want to answer no, but you have to answer yes. So it forces you to kind of take on the mindset of someone who would disagree with you and work it out how they reach their conclusion. So for this 1 minute, whether you believe it or not, I just want you to believe it. Okay? Yes. And be persuasive, be convincing. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. You
Yes.
have 1 minute.
I was born ready. What can I say?
All right. That's what I like to hear. Are you afraid of rejection?
I think everybody's afraid of rejection on some level, right? I mean, rejection's not a nice thing. It gives us a sense of not belonging or of judgment. I think if a person wasn't afraid of rejection on some level, not to the point of being sort of like, it affects the way they interact in everyday life, but on a certain level, I think a healthy fear of rejection is a good thing because it teaches us how we can when it does happen to us, I mean, we can try to learn from that. It teaches us how to understand other people and to see if other people are how they see us. But at the same time, it also prepares us for not approaching the world in a way that we're not going to be sort of attacking or negative about it, but we're always ready for that because it's naturally the world we live in. And then our response to it, of course, is important as well.
Thank you. Well timed out. All right. And the next question is, you ready for round two?
All right.
Would the world be better off if humans were not in charge? Now, hang on. Don't be influenced by the photograph too much.
Seriously.
It could be, it might be
What are you
that
trying to
nobody's
say?
in charge, right?
I think definitely. I mean, look at what humans have done to the world, right? I mean, it's not only a question of would it be better if humans weren't in charge, but the question is when will humans finally not be in charge, right? I mean, I think a lot of us look forward to the day when we can maybe turn things over to a higher intelligence, maybe an AI intelligence. I think, we see a lot of this sort of negativity from, as this picture shows, of the negative consequences of AI and how it can all go wrong. But I think there are a lot of instances that we see, for instance, in Star Trek, for example, where AI really gives us a way of organizing the world that we would never have thought of, or it turns over decision making to something that can make decisions rationally and reasonably and not, for instance, politicize all of our decisions or be guided by emotion or be guided by our own sort of hangups.
Very well done. Excellent approach, and the way you described it makes me believe you. I think one of the
You
problems
should.
with leadership as we know it is people don't have a lot of faith in their human leaders, and because there's so much bias and I guess politicization and corruption involved. But you're right, and we just like, it's kind of like, do we want environmentalists to make or environmental scientists to make decisions about environmental policy, or politicians who are just political creatures?
Well, I mean, I guess it also depends on what you think, what we mean by in charge, right? In charge of what, for more specifically, like I think, like in charge of government, maybe. Like, do I want the robots in charge of my love life? No, of course not.
Okay. All right. Let's look at question number 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the tough one.
Mm.
So now that you're warmed up and you've got your rhetorical juices flowing, here
Mm-hmm.
she comes. Are you ready?
Is that the question? Yes, of course. I was always no, sorry.
Would the world be better off without war correspondents such as yourself?
Well, actually, this is a good time to ask me this question because I entirely think that yes. I mean, I think problematics of the journalism industry in general is I think we're at a state right now where journalism is in a state of crisis. War correspondents in particular, because I think the state in which journalism is today, especially in foreign correspondence and war correspondence, it's depending more and more on freelance journalism. And freelance journalism is a bit of a wild west. You have a lot of young people trying to make their way, barreling into war zones with really not a lot of nuance of perhaps what's going on the ground or how to operate. And it causes a lot of chaos. And a lot of the information coming back is sort of chaotic and disorganized and sometimes incorrect or doesn't have nuance or context, and we get a much worse view of what's happening than if they weren't even there, and perhaps we relied on governments that are always propagandizing. But maybe it would be better.
Fascinating. Well, thank you for all those wonderful insights. And do you actually believe that? Or were you speaking your conscience, or are you just doing
No,
the game?
I think we need war correspondents, but we do need to try to improve the way it's operating right now. I think it's a mess right now. I do agree it's a mess, but we still need war correspondents.
All right.